Welcome to the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Podcast, episode 75. My name is Alina Warwick, and today we have Andy Cheng on the show. Just a quick side note, if you are listening to the podcast with kids in the background, you might want to put on some headphones for this episode. There are some sensitive topics that we touch on that are not appropriate for kids. So before we continue with this episode, if you are listening to the show and it brings you value, please share some love by subscribing and leaving a review wherever you're listening to this podcast.
And I was there, and then I got the mafia because mafia control all the mining area, and they also control the cocaine. But then mining was what I was doing, and I had them to point gun at me.
Andy is originally from Taiwan, and his first rodeo to entrepreneurship was when his father passed away and he had no other choice but to run the business for his dad. So at 26 years old, Andy became the president of his father's company in Shanghai. He hated it and didn't see himself running for a long time. So the very first opportunity to get out of Dodge was to hop on a plane and go all the way to Mexico, where he was dealing with the Mexican mafia in the mining business. Andy's experience with the Mexican mafia was really a boot camp for a new entrepreneur. He had to learn fast and be on top of everything, and he couldn't make any mistakes. His life was literally on the line, so he is no longer in that business. So Andy came to the United States at 29 years old, and he was unstoppable. Currently, he's running 4 different companies, and he's now making $4.5 million annually in revenue. Andy shines his talent through his different entrepreneurial ventures by capturing the opportunities that come in front of him and using his experiences with the Mexican mafia. The different journeys and experiences makes Andy an exciting immigrant entrepreneur, and in this episode, you'll find his story incredible. So let's dive right in. All right, Andy, thank you so much for coming on the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm so excited to hear all about your journey. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
So let's talk about your immigrant journey. Tell us where you're from and when did you come to the United States?
I am Taiwanese. I was born in Taiwan, and I moved to Canada when I was 14 for 10 years. And when I finished my college, I went back to Taiwan for 2 years. Then I moved to China, Shanghai, for 10 years. And I moved to Los Angeles in 2016. So this is my 5th year.
2016.
Yeah.
Okay. And how old were you when you came to the United States?
I was turning 36.
36 years old. Okay. So
Yeah.
you had quite a journey from growing up in Taiwan and then Canada and then Shanghai. So tell me a little bit about your journey and how that all happened. And tell me a little bit about how it was like growing up in Taiwan.
So I was only child, but not because the country's policy. Actually, the country, Taiwan, actually want you to have more kids. But I was the only child. I was a very spoiled kid. Like, parents really took care of me for everything. And somehow my mom didn't think that I would be happy in Taiwan. So she literally forced me to move to Canada to a boarding school, where I became a real asshole for the first 3 years in the boarding school. I had 4 different roommates. Like, no one could get along with me because I was really just spoiled. It's either my way or there's no way. So there's no other way or highway. I realized I need to change. So I think grade 11 and 12, I became normal, I would say. Yeah.
So Taiwan was a pretty happy, normal childhood.
Oh yeah, it was easy, smooth. Academic, I was just getting there, and I had so many friends. I had so much good memory there. Parents were there, and moved to Canada. I remember the night my mom was there for the first 6 months with me. We're in the middle of nowhere. Not even before boarding school. She enrolled me into a public school in Langley, not in downtown Vancouver. And the night before she had to go back to Taiwan, I was 14, was 13. I was crying. I was crying very hard because I told her, like, I'm so scared. I did not understand what social study was about. I did not understand. I couldn't read. I had the very basic English there. And my mom sent me to a very, very white city. We're talking about,
my.
like, you're talking about Vancouver, and there's a lot of immigrants there.
Yeah.
Somehow my mom was able to send me to like a place there with only 3 Chinese kids in the school at that time. So I was
Wow.
so nervous. And it was a homestay. I was staying in a Canadian family. Yeah. So living in a strange, environment, that was the story of my life since I was 14 or 13. And then
Wow.
obviously boarding school. Like I said, I was spoiled. I had no clue what I was doing.
So then you went to Shanghai
Well, yeah, like 10 years later. Yeah.
10 years later. So, okay, so you were in Canada for 10 years and then you moved to Shanghai.
I moved to Shanghai, but before Shanghai was Taiwan for like 2 or 3 years. That
Uh-huh.
was where I had my first job, and in Shanghai. So in a way, I feel like I'm always the newcomer. I was always the immigrant to somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully United States is now your new home and you're not planning to leave us and go somewhere else.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I mean, it's the older we get, the more you're trying to adopt, and then you're trying to make real friends locally. And most of my friends are here. Actually, funny you say, me and my wife were just saying, hey, we're gonna stay here at least 10 to 15 years more. You
Hmm.
know, we love here. We didn't even
Yeah.
leave this place during pandemic. I think that proved that we love this country,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what that journey was in Shanghai. Why did you move out there?
After college, I went back to Taiwan for 2 years, and I decided to get married at age of 25 or 26. And everything was just basically, I have a plan. I want to be working at a corporate. I want to work for a pharmaceutical company. I got everything all lined out for it. And 2 weeks before my wedding, my dad told me he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And at that time, he had 3 months to live. And I volunteered to take over his company, international shipping company in Shanghai.
At
And
25 years old?
26, I
26
turned
years old.
26. And 1 month after the wedding, just right before we were about to move to Shanghai, my wife was pregnant. So we literally went there with the pregnant wife to a city that I never been before,
Hmm.
and I didn't like. I have no friends there. Yeah, and then I became an entrepreneur, or I became a business owner by, I guess, by someone else's sickness. Nothing
Wow.
to do with my qualification or anything. Yeah,
And what did you study in school in Canada?
business administration.
So you never imagined to be an entrepreneur.
No,
Wow.
always thought I was a marketing person. I want to work for in the marketing field. I never thought, not even one bit.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
So your father gets sick and you volunteered to take over his business. What was his business about and what did you do?
The business was the international shipping forwarding company. So we help client to ship their cargo from, it could be anywhere in Asia, to mostly to United States, by air or by containers, and then truck it to their door. That's what we do. And I don't know why I was there. Funny you ask. I think I was there just to make sure all my father's employee were doing their job. Like I
Mm.
was just there to monitor. Basically, I was live video cam or monitor there, just to monitor them. That's it.
And like, how did you know what to do? Because you were practically forced into this role to take over your father's business. How did you know where to go, what to start, and how to manage these people?
I pretend I knew things, but I didn't ask them. I didn't know what to do. At age 26,
Yeah.
when there was no mentor, there was no one else there. And it was a very, very tough environment where people will just eat you if you show your weakness. Like we
Mm.
got police came over to our office, asked for ransom, asked for money. And I was trying to act tough. So I didn't even ask any of my father's friends for help. And then you just get sucked in this crisis even further. And now you ask, I was very clueless at age, for the first few years. Like I was pretend to be the boss, but even I think all my employee just kind of see through me. Is like, yeah, this guy didn't know shit. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so is that the Highlight Freight business?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you're running a couple other companies. We'll get to that. But I watched one of your videos, and in there you mentioned that when you were in Shanghai and running your father's business, you hated it. You hated being called the president and just did not like that role. Why is that?
In the Chinese culture, they like to give you a very high-end title. Like if you went there, they will be like President Alina or VP Alina. And then they gave me that name. I was 26, 27. I'm a very traditional guy in terms of, you got to earn for whatever title they call you. And I feel like I didn't earn it. It was given. Like a donkey could have got this title. If you put a donkey in the company's name and then in the company owner, they will call a donkey a president. It was like, this is BS. I mean, it's like, and the President Cheng, please come. It's like you kind of nod. Of course, you go along with it, right? But then you just hate it. You're just like, ugh. I wasn't even a manager when I was in Taiwan. And then you tell me in a year and I became the president? I just to me, it wasn't solid. It wasn't real enough for me.
It was handed to you. It was handed to
It
you
was handed.
overnight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how many employees were you managing at that time?
I was managing 15 at that time. And when my father passed away, the shareholder left. And then two-thirds of the business, just left with the shareholder. They took away the business and we shrink it down to, I think the lowest one we had like 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah. And that's when we actually start growing because it was nowhere else to go but up.
And at one point, I know you mentioned that you guys were running the business paycheck to paycheck and almost just losing money. So what did you do to recover that? And what are some steps that you took to get the company out of that position?
I think first we start cutting down costs. I actually, because my parents were very protected, like to me and my wife. We had driver, we had maid, we had housemaid. We're living in a big apartment in Shanghai. We start cutting down costs. Like you got to be real. Like, the company wasn't making money. We're losing customer, and you're telling me we still have a driver. Like, why? And then we start cutting down costs, and I start forcing my team to use my way, not my father's way. That wasn't my way of doing business, of doing more customer-driven, service-driven, not cost-driven business. So we start getting better profit. We didn't get more customer, but our profit, our margins start going up because we focus on service. That's when we start growing again. Like we got more loyal customer.
So you increased your quality of service rather than just high amounts of services. You turned around and had a mechanism of producing high quality service.
Yes, because Alina, funny you mentioned, because when you don't have money, when you have not much cash flow to play with every day, you can't really go with volume service. Like you can't really afford doing low margin service anymore because you just can't. You can't even afford doing that. So it kind of forces you to start, I just focus on a couple customer and drive the margin up, provide more service to the same customer, then things start working out for us again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Andy. Okay. So what happened after that? Where did you go?
At that time, we still are getting more stable and start growing, but I still hated that business. Not hate it, but okay, I guess I downgrade from hating to dislike.
Yeah.
I still didn't feel like it's like quite my business. I still feel like it's my father's business. Like it's his legacy. It wasn't my legacy.
Right.
So I really was start seeking for other things. And then there was somebody offer me to do an investment and mining in Mexico. The place is called Lazaro Cardenas, and that was next to Ixtapa, a very, very famous vacation place, resort. I went there. I was there, back and forth between China and Mexico for 2 years, doing iron ore mining, the actual ore, not crypto mining,
Yeah.
Not like trading. Did we actually do mining business where I have like 50,000 tons of the break bulk vessel to come and then you know a low and then unload in China. That's what I did there.
Yeah, and so did you leave the Highlight Freight, your father's
No, I opened another company.
Oh, you opened another
So
company, okay.
actually, I didn't open another. The word would be I opened my first company.
Got it. Yes, yes. And how old were you when you opened that mining company in Mexico?
I was 29.
29 years old. Okay.
Yeah,
And we were talking a little bit offline, and you mentioned you kind of wanted to do your own thing. And someone told you that, you can make millions of dollars a month by mining in Mexico. So
yeah.
without doing any research, you just went full force. So
Oh yeah.
what happened? I know you have a couple of stories to share in that journey. So if you don't mind sharing, go ahead.
Okay. When I went there, and then I didn't really understand Mexican culture. I didn't even know how to speak Spanish, and until now, I still couldn't. I think I could only speak two words. They speak some English, and I was there, and then I got the mafia because mafia control all the mining area, and they also control the cocaine. But then mining was what I was doing. And I had them to point gun at me because I was at their hidden headquarters and trying to take a selfie, and they were not happy that Chinese dude there trying to take a photo and could reveal where they were. Another thing I didn't tell you doing offline was I took an investor there, and he's an American.
Okay.
Man, I could not choose the worst person to go. He was so white. He's wearing polo shirts. And then I realized, damn man, you dumbass. You dressed like a freaking FBI. Like, god damn it. And they were like, all the mafia were like, what were you doing, Andy? Why did you bring like a guy who looks like an FBI there? And he had those Ray-Ban sunglasses. If you Google
Yeah.
FBI agent, that he looks exactly very short hair too. So, and he was working out, so he has some muscle. It's like, oh my God. I was like, I'm gonna die today. And it's because you.
So they saw an Asian spy and an American spy.
Oh no. At that time they just saw an Asian dumbass with an American spy. I think they kind of eliminate the thought of me being the spy. I wasn't that smart. And how could you be a spy without knowing speaking Spanish, right? In Mexico. So I think they kind of figured that one out.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you had to actually deal with the mafia. So did you know you were coming into that, or you had no
No,
idea?
no. Because it's always like, oh, we got friends there who is like Asian. It's like, don't worry, when you get here, get the money here, we'll take care of everything. And you went there, oh my God, you have no idea. And then this is when I actually became a real entrepreneur because you got to get involved with everything. And I got involved and so, if you can't handle the mafia, let me handle them. And then the local start helping me out to do all the connection. I start trying to coordinate trucking, crushing machine. I start doing everything myself there.
Wow.
You gotta, when you have like couple $1 million invested there, you kind of have to. You kind of have to. You kind of force me to get my hands dirty. Actually, that would be my first time getting my hand dirty for real, like
Wow.
physically and also experience wise, both. You start getting them very on hand experience.
Yeah, that's like entrepreneurship boot camp, like army style. That's
Yeah.
like army
Army
style.
style, army style, for sure, for sure. There was a couple of times I called my wife, and when I called her, and then I just stopped crying. I just stopped crying, and then she said, "What's going on?" And he didn't want to tell them to know. He just said, "Oh no, nothing. I just miss you guys." And then I just, choke and then crying a little bit. And then my wife was so worried about me. There's once I told her I'm on my way home. I'm at the airport. She didn't believe me.
Mhm.
She asked me to take a photo of myself, making sure that I'm not in like kidnap or something. And yeah, that's the journey. Yeah.
Yeah. And does she know that you were dealing with the mafia, with the Mexican mafia?
She didn't really know until years later. Yeah, she
Oh,
didn't know.
wow.
And most of people, I didn't tell anyone. I was really, that's actually when Instagram start becoming very popular.
Uh-huh.
And I just share a nice photo, me running on the beach because the Extaba has beach next to it. I only show them the good part. We don't show them what's behind.
So, wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm so sure you have plenty of stories. And so how long were you
Yeah.
running that? You said a couple of years?
2 years, to be exact, 2 years. Two
2
years. I
years.
made $1 million and I lost that $1 million the next month. And then
Wait,
and realized that this is not right business to do.
you made $1 million in 2 years?
I made $1 million in 2 years. Yeah, we made $1 million in 2 years, and then I lost that the very next month. I lost it to the market. In the market,
Oh.
because it's a very commodity business, right? So you're getting iron ore from the mafia. So if the product's not good, they're not gonna go refund you the money. So you have no way of doing quality control. And then the buyer is paying you the money, like paying you according to the testing report. So there's nothing you can control on my side. So me and my investor say, you know what? At least we didn't lose money. Let's just get out from this business.
Mhm.
And we did. Actually, I think my luggage is still in Mexico somewhere. And then I think we still have like couple. I'm not kidding. I think my luggage and my shoes are still there. Like we literally feel like we ran away from that. Like just get out,
Wow.
like get out from there. And to the last part of the Mexican part is we got a friend actually, or we got the local friend who actually got, because they owe the mafia money. They ended up getting killed, and then they were on the front page. Yeah,
Wow.
I can show you the photo, on the front page photo, after the interview. It was
Yeah.
so brutal and so real. Yeah.
Wow.
And you kind of realize that, nah, you can't do it.
Wow.
I can't do
Wow.
I'm going to die eventually. Yeah.
Wow. So you didn't
Yeah.
see your wife for 2 years straight?
No, I came back and forth. My
Okay.
wife even went to Mexico to visit me. Like she stayed there for like 4 weeks.
Mm.
She was like to a point she actually thought I had another family there because I was really at home in Asia, and she's like, "You having another family there because this is not right. You're missing your kids.
Yeah.
You're missing your kids growing up, and then what's the point?" And then
Mhm.
I would say I had no regret doing that business,
Mhm.
but I wish I could done differently, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so after you ran away from Mexico, leaving your luggage and your shoes behind,
Yeah. Yeah.
where did you go after that?
I went back to China, and then,
China, okay.
and well, my shipping company was still there running, but I put more time running the business.
Okay.
And the Mexican experience helped a lot
Mhm.
for my business in China. A lot.
Did the mafia come look for you?
No, no. It's funny. I used to get panic if somebody owe me like couple $1,000. I get nervous. I get irritated. I get angry.
Uh-huh.
There was one incident where one of my customer owed us $50,000. The owe me, I would go crazy. I would just I'll kill myself. And
Mhm.
then I was so calm. I was like motionless. My employee asked me, "Hey, boss, why are you not panicking?" I said, "Don't worry, they will pay. And if they don't pay, you know what? Life goes on." It's like,
Mhm.
why? Well, I almost owe a buyer $5 million, and then I made it through. So I'm pretty sure if I can get over with $5 million, 50,000 really is not nothing. And then
Yeah.
trust me, we're gonna get over it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, that's so true. Okay, so tell me the journeys for your next couple of companies. You have Medi Supply Guru, you have the Pod Guru S, you have the Streamworks Global.
Streamworks Global.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about that.
After Mexico, I joined Entrepreneur Organization, EO.
Yes.
I was in Shanghai, and then I start growing. I start growing financially and start growing intelligently, hopefully. And one of my friends from EO offered me an opportunity to move to Los Angeles. And that time, I feel like I need a change. I was doing fine in China, but I start feel very suffocated there. I didn't really like the high pace environment. So I brought my family over here 2016 and started another brand new business. And that company eventually became Stringworks, where we sell retail fixtures like store displays for retail chain franchise store like Massage Envy. And one of our baby, its product is called the Privacy Boots. The Park Guru is actually a part of the Stringworks. It's just our product line we call, and then it's called Privacy Boot, like the phone boot, where you can have your privacy by going to the phone booths to do your phone call, to do your study. You have some quietness.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we have that. And unfortunately, we were just about to launch this in a massive way, and the pandemic came.
Oh, no.
And that was last March, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you the very true moment. That was back in March. I was sitting in my study room. I was getting all my credit card out. I call all the credit card company and I start doing the calculation, see how much credit line I have. And then I was factoring how much we spend. And it was really like, if I have no income from USA and this is how much I can last. And if my credit card max out, then we'll just move back. That was like the first moment. Then one day, somebody asked in the chat room, say, hey, one of the hospital really need N95 masks. And at that time, I just realized, a friend told me there was some N95 in some warehouse that happened to be 10 minutes away from my home. I went there just to see if I can help. I wasn't even thinking about making money, not even one bit. And then 3 hours later, the crisis for locking out N95 was over because we're able to find 10,000 N95 for them. And the crisis was reversed. And then somehow the news got spread out in our EO community. In the next 48 hours, I got 20 people asking me for help. Then I thought, you know what? Why not make it a business? If you can help, and then given my relationship and being Asian helps, I can get a lot of resources in LA. And 6 months later, we became the largest isolation gown distributor in North America. Yeah.
Wait, so this only happened because someone was asking for N95 masks, and you went where to get them?
I went to a random warehouse 10 minutes away just to verify they exist. And I took some photo and then sent it to the hospital. And in 30 minutes, they sent a truck here, an inspector. And then at that time, I have no idea what N95 was. I have no idea what NIOSH was. They came here. It's funny. You never had a chance, like a buyer was teaching you. It's like, this is how you verify they're real or not. And I was like, so are they real? Are they real? They're like, yeah, they're real. And they will take it. And then I was like, and then I forgot. I think I make $6,000 or $8,000. That was enough for me to pay my credit card and like 2 months of rent. And you're like, how about that? I can help and then make some money.
So this is a warehouse that sold medical supplies by
Correct.
the dozens or by huge amounts of supply, right? It wasn't just like a Rite Aid.
No.
You didn't go to like a Rite Aid to get like N95.
No.
Right?
It was, they have like Amazon product there, like a product for Amazon. They have everything there. So it was owned by Chinese. And then the owner of that mask was still in China. Mm-hmm. So I had to call China just to do a lot of coordination. And that was through my best friend from my elementary school. So just like that, Lina, in 48 hours, I had a business without knowing it. And then in a month later, I start a new company, Supply Guru.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. And I'm so excited to see you capture and seize that moment. You saw an opportunity, someone came out to purchase it, and you said, you know what? If I'm going to help out and if I have these resources, I'm going to capitalize on this moment. I'll open up a business. And what did you do? Did you open up a business overnight? Because you already knew how to open up several businesses, right?
I open through legal Zoom and it takes 2 weeks, but then I use my older company to start doing transaction. But once the new company was set out, like the first thing I went to the bank and opened an account and tell all the buyer, you know what, start paying this. And then the business was officially formed. But the one thing I learned as an immigrant, and I have very awesome friends, business partner from other company, is they're always teaching us that Andy, you like not in the racist way, and don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
okay? Andy, you done this thing too Asian. You don't think about liability. You always think cheap, cheap, cheap. The lower the price, the better. Andy, it doesn't work that way in the US. So I learned a lot of things. It's called liability, which nobody, believe it or not, a lot of my friends from Asia don't realize that. And it took me 4 years to really realize that. So when I opened that company, you know what I did the first time? The first
What?
thing, I
What?
hire an attorney. I
Smart.
find an insurance company. Hey, give me insurance, give me liability insurance, give me all the insurance possible
Hmm.
to make sure whatever business I do, we are covered.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And yeah. And then 6 months later, we did $4 million in last quarter.
$4
Yeah.
million. And this is the last quarter, 2021?
2020 Q4.
Oh, last year. Last year. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Last
Wow.
year. Last year. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So
Congratulations,
no,
Andy.
it
That's
wasn't. It wasn't. I was very thankful. Here's the thing, Alina. It wasn't like bragging. There's nothing to brag because it's more. I'm very grateful that throughout the way, you have no idea how many people came out to me and help,
how
and
many
then
what?
how many people actually came out,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me and then offered to help me,
Yeah.
offered to introduce me to buyers without even asking for any, return. To me, it was. I am very blessed in many, many ways,
Hmm. Yeah.
especially since last year. And then whoever employee I always hire, they ask me, what's our company? What do? We tell them we help frontline staff. We help them. And then if we can make money, fine, that's good. If not,
Hmm.
we make sure we give them the right product. That's what we do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing stories. Okay, Andy, I gotta ask. So you came out to Los Angeles to start the Pod Gurus, right?
Correct.
Okay. And did you partner up with that friend from EO, or was this
Correct.
your own? Okay. So you guys partnered up and you thought it
Yeah.
was a great idea. Okay. So tell me a little bit about that. Who are your major clients? Are these large corporations? Who do you guys normally serve through?
The Pod Guru was targeting open office and
Okay.
co-working space,
Hmm.
which ironically all got destroyed by the pandemic. But we're not giving out on the project as things are getting reopened, but we need to figure out how to pivot the product to the market, to how to make people be more trusting on the function and of the product, and
Hmm.
and the safety of the product, which is something you never think about before pandemic. But now, how are you going to convince somebody to go into a metal box, that is like you can convince them you are isolating yourself from the virus, but then if there's like, what if there's a virus inside the box already?
Yeah.
You're like, oops. So we're trying to pivot that thing, and we're trying to change the feature to be more antivirus panel.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the day, another thing is I recently learned from one of the EO course that they team out with Harvard, and then one of the case studies from Dropbox, I think it was Dropbox, was one of the philosophy was you fail fast and learn quickly. So
Hmm.
the way I learned after so many years entrepreneur failing journey is, if you realize that you're not going to make it, don't try to be like, oh, I gotta be a man, I gotta tough it out. Okay. And then admit that's going to be failing experience or failing project, and then move on and learn why you fail and move on to the next project. So yeah, so we still have string work. We're still doing store fixtures. In fact, I would love to invite you and your kids in the future to go visit one of my clients, Tender One, who's doing rock climbing gym, where they're a major store fixture provider. So
wow. Yes, I would love that. I'm going to hold you to that, Andy.
no problem.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about Streamworks Global and what you guys do. You said it's subsidiary from the Pod Gurus?
No, it's the headquarters of Park Guru. So it's the mother company of the Park Guru. We sell store fixtures. So when I started with my first partner, we were servicing company like Swarovski for all their store fixtures expansion across USA. And then when I split out with him, I team out with another partners. Then we formed Streamworks Global, and we mainly focus on store fixture for small business and franchise owners. Because my partner is also a franchise owner for Massage Envy, and we feel like we know them. We know what they're suffering, what their difficulty. So we want to be their solution. We want to be their one-stop solution for their fixture to help them to reduce some cost and then make their life easy. Because at the end of the day, every store owner deserves a break, and then should focus on sales, not furniture, not administration work. We want to be their backup.
So this is like woodwork. This is like customizable, like storage bins, right? So this is just all strictly customizing to a particular brick and mortar.
Customizing, but also mass production, because we also want to help. Just say, Alina, if you have 6 stores, you all need front desk, but you don't need to actually custom make 6 front desks, because the labor work, it's going to cost so much. So we try to help you to standardize. We try to make it more modular for you. So your store fixture can be more flexible according to the space, according to whatever is inside the space, and then still reduce the cost for you. So it's somewhat customized, but more modularized for you.
Okay. And when did you start that company?
Streamworks was started in 2018.
Okay, so just a couple of years after you came.
Couple of years later.
To LA. Okay, awesome. All right, so tell me the whole immigration process. Did you have any struggles when you first landed in Los Angeles? What were some of your experiences?
I was always nervous.
Why?
I was a Canadian.
Canada is very similar to America.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So American are afraid of police. I was afraid of custom. Like I was terrified. I hold a Canadian passport.
Okay.
But I was on the working visa at the beginning.
Okay.
Now we have green card, but then at the beginning we had the American, we had the which we call TN visa. So it's very strict on what we're supposed to be working on. And when you are the custom, they ask, I have like a book of all the documentation that I need to prove that first I'm Canadian and I love Canada. And there was one time, I'm not kidding you, in the custom almost reject for my entry. You know why? He said I'm not Canadian enough. I'm not shitting you. I was like, excuse me? I don't think you are Canadian enough. I was like, what? Should I start drinking Tim Horton and then play hockey in front of you, or start saying sorry? Well, what? Like, oh no, we just don't think. I don't feel you're Canadian enough. And Andy, make sure next time when you enter USA, make sure to act more Canadian. I was like,
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm not complaining, but I was like shaking out before I boarded the flight. I was like, and then I asked my immigration attorney, he said, oh, they always do that. They bluff you. They want to scare you.
Yeah.
I was like, he even mentioned to me, he said, if I reject you, you're never able to enter USA anymore. Just to scare the shit out of me. I was like, oh my God. So anytime I enter USA right now, I have at least 50 pages of documents to support that Andy is very Canadian. I love Canada. I do not love USA, but I love Canada more. That's what they want to hear. I'm not kidding. Yeah.
All right. So, what about raising capital to start any of your businesses? So, I know you took over your father's business, it was already running, but what about the mining business in Mexico and any of the ones that you have right now? Did you have to raise any capital to start any of these businesses?
For mining, yes, I had investors, a family friend from Taiwan.
Okay.
So they were able to get some bank credit for me.
Hmm.
And that allows me to do LC, letter of credit,
Okay.
to my vendor. That helps a lot. Not much of actual like cash or
Hmm.
capital.
Hmm.
And then here, no, I start every of my company from zero.
Wow.
Like, yeah,
Bootstrapped.
not one that I have somebody putting like 10,000, 50,000 into the company. Not one. So yeah, yeah.
So you put in
So
you put in your savings, or was it just minimum cost to start these
always
companies?
minimum cost. And
Mm,
Alina, I want to share that with you. So people will also, anybody who wants to be entrepreneur
yes.
is you want to start your company and then, you want to be cheap. Absolutely. You want to do everything yourself. Absolutely. There's two things. Actually, one thing you should never do yourself. It's called bookkeeping. Do not ever do bookkeeping by yourself because if you're really good at it, you're gonna spend a lot of time doing that. And if
Yes.
you really suck at it, you're gonna spend more time trying to clean it up. And if you have partners, you're gonna spend way more time to explain to your partners that you're not shady. And I've been to all three of them. So one thing, if I can reverse how any of my business that involve, especially involved with shareholder, is I should always hire a bookkeeper. Even it costs you a couple $100 a month to begin with,
Mhm.
to spend that because
Mhm.
you can spend more time doing driving sales.
Mhm.
Trust me.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's one thing I want to share. And then there's a lot of freelancer you can use from Upwork.
Right,
You
right.
train one and then it's $200, 300. If you don't think your business can even cover that, you probably shouldn't even start your business to begin with. And I made that mistake because I want to prove to my partner, hey, I'm running this business. See, I'm taking I'm doing the best interest for my company. I'm saving every penny possible. And that was
Mhm.
not smart. That
Mhm.
was not smart. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, what about mentors? I know that you kind of got into the entrepreneurs organization, but before that, did you have any mentors? Did you
No,
seek out for any mentors? Do you think you should have if you didn't have
I
any
should have.
mentors?
I should have since I was 26. I should have just be the humble person to ask for to pay for it. It wasn't really common to have mentor in Asia. It's not common.
Why is that?
It's just the Chinese culture. Like we don't want to people to see our weakness.
Hmm.
I would be like have no money, but I still need a fancy car to show that hey, I'm hanging there. I'm
Hmm.
not driving a whatever Toyota, whatever. Don't get me wrong, but then you just can't. It doesn't suit the name president. Have you seen any president driving a Toyota Yaris in Shanghai? You can't. You don't. There's a reason for that. And then it was stupid. It was so stupid. And I didn't seek for any mentor, period.
Do you think the mentors that you have through the entrepreneurs organization have been beneficial in your journey?
The mentorship program was not as practical as it could be, but my friends from EO, from
Mhm.
entrepreneur organization, are
Mhm.
my mentors.
Mhm.
Like you ask, like literally a lot of people what we do is in our, our chapter chat room, if you have any business question, you list it up. Say, hey, I don't know how to do this. Anybody for experience sharing? The next thing you see people like doing a lot of experience sharing with you, then you say, hey, why don't you give me a call? Next thing you know, they're giving you their 10 years of experience. Then
Yeah.
you can get that in an hour, a phone call. And
Mhm.
I wish I'd done that earlier, but it's never too late. I'm still doing that. And then I hire a business coach from CEO coaching to teach me from the very basic
CEO coaching?
coaching. Yeah, that's the company called CEO coaching.
Okay.
I just had her 3 months ago. It was very wow experience for me. I told her the reason why I want to coach is because I feel like I'm working very hard, but I'm always spinning in a circle. I was
Mhm.
never able to scale my company out. I feel like everything has to be done through me. Like if I take a vacation, I feel like the company's not moving. And she started teaching me how to do a system, how to hire the right person, how to do their capability testing to make sure they're on the right seat, and how to act quickly if you don't see a fit. So, for instance, I'll tell you, Med Supply Guru, we got only 2 people last year, and then now within 2 months, we grow into 6, and in a very structured way. So, mentoring, coaching helps 100%.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll have to grab that link from you offline. I'll put that in the show notes for all of our listeners to grab a hold of. And if they're looking for coaching sessions, I'm sure it's going to be beneficial in one way or another. That is how we grow. That's how we succeed, by seeking out for help and guidance. Andy, I wanted to ask you, what about marketing in any of your current businesses? Do you do any Facebook ads? Do you do any Google ads? Or is this just word of mouth, referrals? What's your position?
It was the word of mouth. It was word of mouth. Another thing, oh my God. I was literally sharing this experience to one of my friends. So I hired a virtual assistant who is in the Philippines right now, and then she's doing my full-time marketing. So within a week, I have a new website, I have a new catalog, I got a new LinkedIn page and Facebook page within a week. And I used to do it by myself, and it's such a wow experience. I'm not even talking about freelance. We're talking about having an in-house. It was so helpful. It was so helpful. So yes, we were doing referral, but word of mouth. But in the next 2 weeks, we'll be start doing marketing, online campaign, doing SEO, doing LinkedIn campaign, and doing phone call to divert into our website. That's what we'll be doing in 2 weeks.
Well, good luck. Let me know how that goes. And yeah. So I did want to ask you, I wanted to talk to you about mistakes and failures, the not so positive side of entrepreneurship, but the side that everyone has to go through. What are some tips and tricks you can give us on how we can battle through mistakes and failures so we can see success on the other side?
Okay. What are you talking about? I never fail. I never fail. What are you talking about? Oh, what are you talking about? I'm a perfect person. I'm a saint. Okay. Gosh. That's why I went to Mexico, right? Okay. First thing is to admit that you failed. Okay. That was something. One of my biggest business failing was I lost $1 million to one of my dear closest friends and clients. And it's on him. We're still in litigation, but it's also on me because I over leverage, and I didn't want to admit that I failed. So I keep giving him more credit. I even lent him money to run his business. At the end, it got my company in so much trouble. I almost committed suicide. That was 4 years ago for my shipping business. And that was, but then how I got back, how my foreman from EO, how my wife, everybody helped me through it. But talk about the biggest mistake was I made a lot of decisions that I could not sleep. So every day, I always tell myself, I only make decisions that I can sleep at night. I do not gamble. That doesn't mean I'm conservative, but I only make those decisions that I can sleep well. Period. So if anything that tells you, makes you worry, I tell myself I don't do it. I don't care at the end of the day, it turns out to be a good one, but it just doesn't go according to my philosophy.
How did you get out through that suicidal phase?
Oh, to anybody, especially entrepreneur, whoever had that thought. So I was so down, I was in Shanghai. I called my friend. I was like Alina, I want to kill myself. And then my friend's like, and I start telling him what happened. Then he said, how much? I say $1 million. Andy, it's only fucking $1 million. You want to kill yourself? Do it for 10 million. So I can tell people you die for 10 million. $1 million is nothing. Don't lose face for $1 million. And then it kind of woke me up. It's like, okay, I'll wait until it's 10. Well, of course you didn't get to 10, but then you kind of just like, okay, you want to die? Do it big. Don't do it for $1 million. So I didn't do it because he didn't talk me out of it. You know, sometimes it's a reverse psychology in a way, in a twisted way.
Yeah.
But then in the past 8 years, I have 4 friends who committed suicide.
What?
And the last one was single mom, jump out from 22nd floor, depression. But
Oh no.
yeah, but just to think and then to get back to that, if I didn't die, and I think God leaves me here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the purpose is about making money. Like I tell my kids, like making money is a way. Like having a lot of money, it may be just a way, but then what do you do after you have so much money, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, I'm never happy when I make $1 million, but to use that money to be able to help, and that might be a purpose for me. That makes me happy. I'm not sure about making others happy, but then making myself happy by helping people.
Yeah, that's inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, Andy, what does the American dream mean to you? I know it's a very deep question.
Depends, right? American dream mean to me is to do the impossible and make it possible. And then to actually make a difference, not to you yourself, to make a difference to the world, even tiny little bit. I think that is the American dream that means to me. I never thought of that much when I was in Asia, but then being a minority here, that making a little bit of difference for others, that somehow became one of my purpose.
Do you think anyone can reach their American dreams?
Anyone? Yeah.
Yes.
But then I tell everyone, I'll tell you want to achieve something, do it strategically, plan it. Don't just be a dickhead and just do it without thinking. Like I did that. I was the dickhead.
Don't go into working with the Mexican mafia and doing the mining business.
Well, do it, but do it strategically. Find the right partner, like do it remotely, right? But everything can be done in a certain way, but you got to figure out, work smart.
So, what are some things you would advise the next aspiring immigrant that wants to start their own business? And I know you've gone through so much experiences. It seems like you're an immigrant everywhere you go.
Yeah, you're right. I'm always the outsider and try to be the insider, right? To tell anybody who want to do a business, 2 things. First, if you were teaming up with partners, think about your partner like somebody you're going to be married to, not a one-night stand. Okay? My partner for StringWorks, he interviewed me for 2 freaking years. Like he really understand me and then before he became my official partner. Wow. So take this partnership very, very seriously, like how you would date somebody and plan to marry to this person for the rest of your freaking life. And the second, find a freaking mentor. 2 things. Take partnership very seriously and find a mentor. You're going to have a better start than most of the people. Yes.
So powerful. Thank you so much for that inspirational journey. Andy, thank you so much for coming on the Immigrant Entrepreneurs podcast. Your journey is just wow. The Mexican mafia, I think, tops off all the other stories I've had on my show. Just to show that any immigrant can start their own business regardless of their experiences, their backgrounds, what they went through. So thank you so much. I'm so honored to share your story.
Thank you, Alina. Thank you for your time.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If there are any links that were mentioned in this episode, make sure to check them out on my website under this episode to find all the links conveniently located in the show notes. I just wanted to ask for a quick favor. If you could please leave a review wherever you're at listening to this podcast. Also, if you're an immigrant entrepreneur and would love to be on my podcast, please email me and we'll get connected. I'll see you guys all next time for another exciting and impactful episode. Take care.